it's hot.
Yeah,
If you're hot, you're hot. You know what they say.
That's right, brother. Well, I've never been one to repeat other people's sayings, so.
Right, well.
But I'll do it this time. When you're hot, you're hot. How's things out there at the end of Los Angeles Airport runway?
All right, that'll work. Misses me by about 2.5 miles on the south side, but you know, it's still in the area.
Dig that. Is it private? Is it still public property, or has it been sold yet?
I really don't know. I haven't really been keeping up too much with respect to local politics.
Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a phenomenon in this
Feel
country.
about that, you know?
Yeah.
You know.
That's going to be a phenomenon in this country as they start to, you know, try to get money for these cities, selling off the public stuff to the private people.
Right, right.
And Zears is coming to L.A. to talk about Tom Bradley, so Bradley calls somebody and says, well, you can't land in our private airport.
Right. That's neat.
Yeah, it's getting.
Now the other point is, no, you cannot take off from it either.
That's right, brother. Hey, if it's private, you know what I'm saying?
It's a private club.
That's right, brother. You got a membership card here, pal? Brother, we was talking off the air about what we're going to talk about tonight, and why don't you bring it to the people, and we'll get started at it.
Yeah, I think just basically in way of passing some things that I think that people of African heritage should every now and then want to consider insofar as our struggle, you know, here in the diaspora or on the continent or wherever we may be as sons and daughters of our great African ancestors. Now, after having said the word Africa, there may be a lot of people out there who may be very presumptuous about my using the word. I use it not because I want to. I use it because basically most people who have at least been past 8th grade understand exactly what I'm talking about, and they have a fairly good idea of what the landmass looks like, and a reasonably assumption as to where it's located. I don't use it for any other reason other than a very cursory, superficial reference point.
Yeah, point of reference.
Okay, so, and we understand that insofar as it being named, we know that it is not one that we have been given or one that we gave the landmass.
Right.
And I'm just saying for all practical purposes, to keep people from being totally confused, I will be using the word Africa. Okay, so insofar as a landmass and a country is concerned.
Right, brother. We're talking about a continent, too.
Yeah, right. I'm not saying that, you know, we should stop there. I'm saying at some particular point in time, maybe we should really consider a name change.
Right.
After which we have reasonable amount of control of the landmass that we want to name. It is of, I think, no particular purpose in mind, nor does it result in any great change of the overall formula, just to say that you have the power, in fact, to change the name. Changing the name does not change, in fact, the value of the way in which most African people or black people in this country think about Africa.
Teach, brother.
If you went to somebody, basically most people of African heritage, which they will deny because they'll tell you that they're Americans, that if you go to the brother or sister and say, look, we're changing the name of Africa because it's really not the name, you know, that we gave it, you know, back when, and it's named for a white boy and blah, blah. And they'll look at you and say, so what?
That's right, brother.
So what if you changing the name of Africa? What about Africa anyhow?
Right.
The hell with Africa.
Right, and if you go back and say, well, the name was Akabulan, they'll say the same thing. So what?
Well, so what?
Right.
The point is that it does not change the name, or it does not change the value in their mind as to really what Africa is or what it is about, or whether or not it even has any value in it.
Right, and that's what we need to address.
We have to address if Africa, in fact, has any value for us at all.
Right, because a lot of people say, when you say, let's go back to Africa, the people say, for what?
Exactly.
I'm not going back to that jungle. Right, brother?
That's exactly the point. Now, as mentioned before, some of the justifications why this white man came up with the AIDS virus to basically depopulate the continent, I mean, why would he do that? We know, of course, in many cases, he'd just do it for fun.
That's right.
But in this particular case, he has a particular objective in mind, and I will, in fact, read some of the objectives as gotten from a very, for me, a very important book that I picked up at a used bookstore called The Strategic Positioning of Africa. Some of the quotes in the book, and as follows, quote, because of varying degrees of dependence on imports for the maintenance of optimum industrial capacity on the part of Western nations, the following 25 minerals among 54 produced in Southern Africa can be regarded as materials of strategic importance.
What they're saying is in order for them to run their stuff, they got to get this stuff from your home.
Exactly. Again quoting, South Africa is the world's fourth largest producer of non-fuel minerals and is an important exporter of a wide range of strategic minerals and materials to the West. Again quoting, South Africa has a disproportionately large share of the world's reserves of many metals and minerals that are critically important to the West. And I can go on and on with these particular definitions.
Now, this is what those of the West are saying.
Exactly.
And so, brothers and sisters, it's really kind of irrelevant what you might think at this point because this is not Zeers' dialogue.
Exactly.
It's not my dialogue.
In one of the letters that I provide in my information package, which again is still available, one of the letters that was actually given to me by a person who has far right-wing sentiments, and he was telling me about this particular letter. So I said, hey, can you bring that in? Give me a copy. As I was interested.
Mm-hmm.
This is a letter by Jesse Helms of the United States Senator.
That's right.
There's no date on this, but he's basically saying what this letter is basically a letter which is tantamount to being either a fund driver or as incentive for people of far right-wing leanings or tendencies to write their congressmen and representatives to actually enact bills that would help the United States and their Western allies stand tough against Soviet presence on the African continent. In fact, if you know how to read between the lines, what they're saying is that we don't want Africans to have anything that belongs to Africa, and as long as the Russians are there, we feel that we're fully justified in going in there and kicking you-know-what and taking names.
That's right, brother.
Irrespective of the presence of African people.
That's right, brother. I mean, it ain't even a question of what we think.
Right.
I mean, with them, it's, hey, does my white brother agree with this? You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're totally disregarding us.
Right. So we're not even in any part of the formula. I'm trying to find some of the important aspects that he kind of
Jesse Helms, he's a former Black Panther member, right?
Who is this?
Jesse Helms.
Jesse Helms?
Yeah.
No. Jesse Helms is one of the old segregationist filibusters who filibustered during the Civil Rights campaign during the early 60s.
Dig that. Just for clarification, brother, I don't want anybody to think that this is somebody that we might roll with.
Right. Okay, let me see if I can find some. Okay, here's some of the things that he is mentioning in his letter on page 2. Unless we take this is a quote from Jesse Helms' letter, right? Unless we take immediate action to stop the spread of communism in Southern Africa. Anytime, look, I read communism, just replace that with African nationalism, okay?
Thank you, brother.
The Africans will win, and America will lose. Freedom and democracy will lose. You and I will lose. It's as simple as that. Let me explain exactly why South Africa is so economically and strategically vital to the United States.
That's right, brother.
And why, if the Africans, that's supposed to be Soviet there, right? I'm just changing it the way it ought to be. And why, if Africans gain control of South Africa, they will virtually be unstoppable militarily.
Well, brother, some might say, well, how can you take and replace the word Soviet with African? Well, is there somebody out there that still believes that these crackers and those crackers was fighting?
Right. Well, the Soviets aren't there anymore, so if interest in Africa, it has to be African nationalism.
Has to be, brother.
Okay.
Has to be.
Continuing quoting Jesse Helms' letter, South Africa is the source of over 80% of America's mineral supply and 86% of communist plutonium group resources.
Y'all dig that there? Did y'all hear what that? 80%.
86%.
80, man. And you think they don't want to support the clerk in them?
Mm-hmm.
You out your mind.
Says, I won't go into details on each vital mineral. It was former Secretary of State Alexander Haig who said that the loss of the materials and minerals output of Southern Africa could be, now quoting Haig, the severest consequences to the existing economic and security framework of the free world.
Brothers and sisters, you got to understand. This is why they spent all this time making you hate where you're from.
Exactly.
See, you hate your house, so then what you want to do with that old raggedy house? Y'all can have it. I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that what happened, brother?
Exactly.
We got to get real about this, y'all.
Continuing, South Africa has 96% of the world's chrome reserves. As you know, there is no substitute for chrome in our military and industrial manufacturing. Without South African chrome, no engines for modern jet aircraft, cruise missiles, or armaments could be built. The United States Air Force would be grounded. Our military would be unarmed. Without South African chrome, power stations and nuclear reactors could not function. Our nation's vital energy supply would be critically drained.
And you think
without South African chrome, surgical instruments and utensils could not be produced. Our hospitals and doctors would be helpless. So you see, he continues, by gaining control of South Africa, the Africans would control the vital materials America needs to survive.
Brother.
Unquote. Okay? With the exception of I changed Soviet to African. Okay, so those are the chips that are on the table. Now, he just went over just one vital mineral.
Chrome. I mean, brothers and sisters, have you ever thought of that? I mean, just for the listeners, brother, because have y'all ever thought of that? That how valuable that one mineral there is. He said without chrome, you ground their Air Force. Their army, their military would be shut down. They couldn't even have no hospitals open.
Mm-hmm.
And you run around here thinking you poor.
Right.
See, we're talking about value, right, brother?
That's
the
right.
Value of that land?
Value of Africa. And continuing in my layout on chrome, or chromium, chromium accounts for 100% of all the stainless steel that's made in the world. Stainless steel is 18% chrome, 8% nickel, and the balance is iron. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps, continuing in my little research thing here, perhaps the largest use of chrome is in the form of chromite as a refractory lining for open hearth and other furnaces. Chromium compounds are highly colored and are much used in tinting, safety matches, anesthetics, glacier cells, chemical paints, textiles, dyeing, high-strength, load-bearing alloys, and welding rods.
Now, this is just chrome.
That's just chrome.
This just, brothers and sisters, y'all see? Do you see why they got you so ashamed to call yourself African or black or anything related to that land over there?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, even though I'm not a Bible man, right, brother?
Right.
But in your Bible, I think, in their Bible, I should say, it says, no man can enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods until he first finds a strong man.
That's right. That's right. Now, I'll see if I go down here and see if I can find... Okay, chrome ore. In terms of 1975, South Africa, total metric ton production was 2,606,900 tons. Okay? That equated in U.S. dollars... Now, this is just raw chrome, right?
Yes, sir.
Raw chrome in 1975, that 2.5 tons of chrome equated to $59,208,000. Now, this is unprocessed. And, of course, when you process that in terms of stainless steel, you can just about quadruple that number, or almost times 5. So you're basically talking about $2 billion in finished product. And that's just one product, and of course we have 24 more to do before the night's over.
That's right, oh, brother, man. I mean, brothers and sisters, you see how rich you are?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we was just at home, the world couldn't run without coming by and say, hey, Brother Zears, can we talk with you about some crumbs? Zears could say, no, I'm busy.
Right.
Get on away from here, cracker.
It is truly amazing when you get into the sources of raw material and what we have, what God has given us as a legacy for His chosen people. Okay.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Because He did put us on top of those minerals. You know what I'm saying?
And didn't put nobody but black faces there to watch over it.
Thank you.
And we're giving the store away.
Thank you, brother.
And because of that, we are reaping the negativity of the lack of respect of the things that God gave us.
Right, y'all all played the game with your child when y'all wanted your child's candy or sucker or something. You said, ooh, that's nasty looking. And what's the child say? You want it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I'll take it since it's nasty, right? This is what they're doing on us, ain't it, brother?
Exactly.
Oh, Africa, you don't want nothing to do with no Africa. You American. In fact, you African-American. What you need Africa for? Man, go ahead, my brother.
Well, if when we're talking in terms of unemployment, and everybody knows that black folks in this country are the most unemployed people insofar as the minority group is concerned.
Teach you, brother.
Had black people, or if black people choose to do what is required, what is necessary for us to do, so that we, in fact, will appear in a bright light in God's sight, we should be doing with our material what is meant to be done with it.
You gotta be responsible, brother.
Yeah, basically, with the things that appear in this letter, okay, Jesse Helms' letter, every item that I named here is an industry. He says no engines for modern jet aircraft. Africans, since you have the raw material on site, and if the type of technical support were made available, and the kind of educational backup is made available, Africans should be one of the largest jet aircraft manufacturers in the world.
Do we produce one, brother?
Not to mention just the aircraft.
Brother, do we produce even one little bitty tiny 2-engine plane?
I don't think Africans produce even a glider, a non-powered aircraft.
We don't even
much less a jet aircraft. Africa doesn't even produce propeller or reciprocating engine aircrafts.
Thank you, brother.
I don't think Africa even produces a vehicle. Okay, I take that back. I think Egypt produces some trucks, a few vehicles of their own. Outside of that, probably South Africa and all the vehicles they make are military, of course. But insofar as other African states, I believe that no African state anywhere on the continent produces a vehicle of their own that is homegrown.
That's deep.
From the engine block and the frame all the way up to the tires. No, absolutely not. No.
That's deep, man. That's deep, man.
Well, it's deep in terms of economics. When in economics, an economics formula tells you that the people who are nearest to the raw materials should be the ones that are getting the greatest benefit from that endowment.
That's what you think?
There was a program not too long ago on one of these educational televisions here by this guy named James Burke. He has this program called Connections. He has several programs. But in one program, he was dealing with the evolution of computers, and before, of course, he got to that point, or communications, he was basically had gone back in history, and he was dealing with clock movements and silver and so forth. And he was basically talking about a small town in the highlands in Switzerland that became one of the most powerful cities on the planet, in that they had not only silver deposits, they had iron ore deposits, they were making clock springs and so forth. So the fact that they had the technical expertise to deal with that, there was incentive, of course, in market enough to deal with taking up the products that were made there, these people were making money, as he put it, hand over fist, okay?
Everybody heard about the Swiss watch, right?
Hand over fist, because the people who were nearest to the raw material were actually benefiting more by it than anybody else, of course, and that's the way it should happen.
That's right.
Now, if something of similar nature would happen in Africa, I have said before, and I have pulled off my computer here, the gross national product of Zaire, let's see, I have a more updated copy, so I'll just use an older one. This is from a CIA database in which they indicate that the gross national product per person in Zaire is $149 per person per year.
What?
$149 per person per year.
Wow.
That is the average gross national product contribution per person in Zaire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to the population in Zaire, which in this CIA report was 33.3 million people. Okay? Now, with the raw materials, the list of raw materials that, let me pull up my latest computer thing here. Let me pull up the CIA database here. According to these studies, the latest, let's see, region, active country, point and shoot. Go back to the world here. I'm sorry about this. Point and shoot. Zaire. We go into the Zairean database, see if that's changed. Now, the gross national product contribution, according to the latest CIA database, is $172 a year. Okay, per person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at the available raw materials, okay, natural raw materials in Zaire, and they are as follows: cobalt, copper, cadmium, petroleum, diamonds, gold, silver, zinc, manganese, tin, germanium, uranium, radium, bauxite or aluminum, iron ore, coal, lime, and then you can get into like the agricultural products, and there are just as many: coffee, dry beans, oranges, mangoes, Filipinos, papayas, yams, rice, bananas, sweet potatoes, peanuts, corn, sugar cane, cassava, cotton, etc. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Zaire had the technical wherewithal to do as much with their raw materials as the United States or Japan does, the gross national product contribution for each Zairean would be $177,000 per person.
As opposed to 149.
As opposed to 140, no, as opposed to the last was
172.
172. Now,
that's deep,
in
man.
Japan,
that's right.
Gross national product contribution for each Japanese, and I could pull the latest one up, but the older one said $16,000, and the United States is $21,000. Do you see the marked difference?
That's deep, man.
$177,000 for each Zairean, as opposed to $21,000 for each average U.S. citizen.
Ain't that something?
Which means to say that the average Zairean would live in terms of almost have a standard of living almost 5 times greater than the average U.S. person, than the average American. That means to say if the average American lives in a 2-bedroom house, then the average Zairean could afford a 10-bedroom house with no problem.
That's right.
If the average American had 5 cars, the average Zairean could afford 15 cars with no problem. And if the average American could afford a bachelor's degree, the average Zairean could afford at least a triple PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of health care, when you look at health care, it just simply blows your mind away. You would almost have the necessity of every Zairean having their own personal doctor, living with them at home, okay, and wouldn't have to pay 1 red cent, not a nickel, for health care all their life. Because when you're making $177,000, or at least making that kind of contribution to the gross national product, There's no possible way you can spend that kind of money.
No.
Hey,
No.
basically what that happens to do, you do with that is that you pour that into education, you pour that into health care, you pour that into, if a military is required, you pour that into research, you pour that into your own national airlines, your own shipping fleets.
I mean, at $177,000, brother, I mean, you could give me a couple thousand and go on and take the rest for all those other things.
Exactly. So basically what we're saying, if Zairians or Africans were doing what they were supposed to do as God has meant them to do, we would be the kings and queens on the planet. There is no question about it. And I'm only talking about one country here.
That's right, brother.
This is just one country.
And you're absolutely right in what we were supposed to do. We know we were supposed to do it because we were given the ability to do it.
And not only that, we were supposed to do it at.
Thank you, brother.
Somebody displaced us over 350 years and put us in chains, gave us a negative attitude about our home, and then they step in and dig and rape the heck out of it, okay, at the same time. So what we have to do at this particular point in time is reverse those negative images that they have, in fact, systematically put in our minds while they are just tearing it up.
Yes, sir. And if we're all about the money like we say, Brother Zears just laid out the program for the money.
The money is more than black people know what to do with.
I'm saying.
Possible way that people can spend that kind of accumulated wealth, isn't it? I mean, you would now listen to this. Everybody knows that anybody out there has seen any Time magazine articles, any Life or Look magazine articles, any articles on public television in which they deal with the outrageous, conspicuous consumption of the Arabs because of just one natural resource, oil.
That's right.
And when you look at that, and Africans have at least control of 25 major natural resources on the whole planet that nobody can do without,
right.
You can't even imagine. There is no conceptual way that African Americans or anybody else on the planet can even superficially conceive of the kind of wealth the African people should be living under.
Put it this way, you wouldn't have to worry about food, clothing, and shelter.
Those would be so mundane
and then think
obsolete concepts.
And then think what you could do with your mind if you didn't have to worry about food, clothing, and shelter.
Which is exactly what they're doing.
That's right.
That's exactly what they're doing.
It got us all bent over about food, clothing, and shelter, and we can't think of nothing else.
Exactly.
Like what Brother Zears is presenting to y'all now.
And on the cover of one of my pamphlets entitled Rape Africa, I have this little proposition for everybody right on the front cover. African Americans all over this country feverishly spend millions of dollars every day in the hopes of winning big on the lottery or sweepstakes. What they sadly fail to realize is that the biggest jackpot, the richest bonanza in the world, are the enormous strategic raw materials in southern Africa.
Yes, sir.
And the best part about this is it's not a gamble, it's a sure bet.
That's right, brother.
The worst part about it is that African Americans have been thoroughly brainwashed into denying Africa as their God-given legacy and refuse to have absolutely anything at all to do with it. Now that African Americans have been thrown off the trail, Japan, West Germany, Great Britain, France, and the United States, and Israel use these very same African resources to build and maintain their military might, their industrial leadership, their political prestige, and the social and cultural oppression of African Americans and Africans everywhere. Free the land.
Teach, brother. Teach. That's why that's the battle cry. Free the land, man.
Okay.
Everything else is, obsolete, irrelevant. You get the land, then you can start talking. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's really the bottom line.
Hey, man, that's deep, man. That's deep. I mean, and we just talked about Chrome, basically, mostly, just for right now, and it's just mind-boggling. I mean, we sitting here. Basically, I guess what I'm saying is, how do you feel bad? How can you feel bad about coming to get your stuff back?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about, ain't we, brother?
Exactly.
And we just talking about taking ours back? That's ours.
Let's deal with another. Let's give somebody else something else to chew on. Let's talk about gold a little bit. Precious metals.
All right.
Monetary. About 60% of all the world's mined to date, gold mined to date, is held by governments and central banks for this purpose, and which amounts to, at least at this reading, of $40 billion in gold bullion. Industrial uses of gold happen to be The high electrical conductivity of gold, 70%, accounts for the largest single industrial use for this material. Where high reliability, corrosion resistance, and high electrical conductivity are needed in electrical and electronic circuits, gold is employed. Plate contacts, terminals, printed circuits, and semiconductor systems, critical space apparatus, and instrumentation reflects up to 98% of incident infrared radiation. High-intensity solar radiation insulator, ultraviolet and infrared radiation filter, bearing lubrication for space applications, sulfur-containing gases at high temperature containers, high-pressure resistance vessels, gold blazing and solder employs high strength high strength is required. Found in aircraft and spacecraft, glass-to-metal seals, large plate glass windows for large office buildings to reduce infrared, thus reducing air conditioning requirements, dental apparatus, treatment of arthritis, punctures and skin punctures, ulcers, burns, and nerve-ending operations.
Talking about gold, brother?
Right. Talking about gold.
And you think and some of y'all think it's just for hanging on your neck? Here's a man built his whole world off of gold.
Right.
He can't have nothing. And you don't even think about these things.
That's right. Alloys of gold and silver alloys are used in, trial plates. Standards of references are 70%. Jewelry, 75% used in gold, 25% silver is called green gold. Blazing alloys in copper, extremely resistant to stress, corrosion, cracking, even when heavily coal worked. Okay.
Brothers and sisters, they want to build something technical.
Okay, listen to this. Also used in photography, and compounds of gold are used for, quote from the Encyclopedia Britannica, powerful explosives, fulminating gold, and it gives the whole formula here for fulminating gold high explosions. Okay?
That's deep, man.
That's deep.
That's deep, man. I mean, we just had ain't nothing wrong with admitting we was purposely miseducated. But now that we getting back our sense, I mean, ain't you ready to go get your stuff back?
Plate glass windows to circuit boards, high-tech spacecraft, fast aircraft.
Man. And all these things they use against us.
That's right.
Or use to make us think that they're somehow better than us. But where they get it from?
Now, one point that I want to point out to the audience. Every time I mention an end product, that is in itself an entire industry.
That's right. Don't they got glass companies around here?
Right, it's an industry.
It's an industry.
Electronic circuits, that's an industry. Terminals.
Industry.
Plate contacts is an industry. Semiconductors is an industry. Critical spacecraft apparatus and instrumentation are two industries.
That's right. That's right. All those things Brother said was just, I mean, you talk about the whole doggone, I mean, not just one industry off of gold, but look at the things the brother named.
That's right.
And we don't even make the underwear we wear.
We are the highest unemployed people with the highest employable potential of any people on the planet.
We're the best miseducated folks on earth too, brother.
There's no doubt of it. No doubt. Okay?
Man. I mean, man.
There's no reason for any black person on this planet to be unemployed.
Thank you, brother.
Reason whatever.
No, I mean, they don't have no industry without our stuff.
No.
That should be a requirement. Okay, you want our stuff? All of us got to have jobs.
Exactly.
I mean, that would be if we were in charge of our own minds.
Exactly.
I didn't say our own land. I said of our own minds, because the very fact that we ain't in charge of our minds is the reason that we're not in charge of our land. That's deep, though, man.
It's just, you know.
I mean, it makes no sense then that we're at each other over nickels and quarters.
Scraps.
Scraps. Scraps. I don't care if you're making $100,000 up in here. You're missing your 77,000, ain't you, Zears?
Huh?
They're missing at least 77,000, ain't they?
What is that?
If they're making $100,000 up in here.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, at least.
At least.
Yeah, and we got to start thinking different now, y'all. I mean, really, that's where we are right now. I mean, it makes no sense to run around here begging somebody for a plate of food when you would be the one in charge. I mean, it just makes no sense. And you can't justify it once you find out where the stuff really is. I mean, we can make excuses before we really didn't know, because we didn't know.
Let's deal with another one. Diamonds. Jim, most popular cut is the 58 facet brilliant. 53 faces above the girdle, 25 below. That you didn't want to know, I'm sure. The next, industrial. Industrial uses of diamonds is so important that a deficiency in industrial diamonds would cause a breakdown in the modern metalworking industry and devastate mass production.
What? Wait a minute, diamonds for what, brother? Industry?
For industrial uses.
Man, brothers and sisters, please now. Please now, ain't it kind of embarrassing? I mean, it is. Here we are sitting here, what we gonna do about dinner tomorrow? Mm-hmm. If his factories is running, you should be fed. Right?
That's right.
If his planes is flying, you should be fed.
Right. Now listen to this.
Hey, brother, before we get to that, can we take a short one?
Sure, we can take a short one.
Okay, brother, Zears Miles on the telephones with us. Embarrassing you, ain't he? I mean, it should. I mean, we got to start thinking about these things, brothers and sisters. I mean, if I got all of Zears' money, I just robbed him. Brother standing there starving. I'm standing right beside him with all his stuff. If brother ain't looking at me kind of crazy, brother got a problem, don't you? You know I took it, don't you? Mm-hmm. How can I stand there in front of you posturing with your stuff? We got to go get ours, y'all. Brother Zears Miles on the telephones with us tonight out of Gardena, California, in our 1,063rd consecutive night of broadcasting. Y'all stay tuned because we'll be right back.
Talking about the economy, they could not get into this, okay? Because we have been taken so far afield from the raw material, from the earth, from the ground, that it probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to people. So what I decided to do was take each of these raw materials in turn and try to list the end product. So at least we could have a reference point. We could, we could identify with some of the things that I was saying. Mm-hmm. I ended up with just the 25 articles. Mm-hmm. I got 29 pages of end products.
Essentially, they couldn't do a thing without our stuff.
Nothing.
Couldn't do a thing. Couldn't even. No, they couldn't do. They'd have to go back to the cave.
That's right.
I mean, because, you talked about copper in the furnace there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they need furnaces.
Home in the furnace, right.
Yeah, I mean, things that, I'm going to be honest, brother. You blew my mind. I'm not going to lie, because I considered myself up on some of those things. But
let's continue. We were talking about diamond, and low-grade diamond, which is called board, is, quoting, a poorly crystallized gray or brown translucent to opaque diamond widely used in industry, is crushed into powder for grinding and polishing operations. Grinding wheels for sharpening, sintering, carbide metal cutting tools, diamond drills, everything from dental to oil well drills, rock core drills, exploring new mineral deposits, saws for cutting rock and other hard materials, tools for turning and dressing grinding wheels, glass cutters, photographic needles, hardness testers, lathe and other types of cutting tools, and wire drawing dies. Cannot do without diamond. Cannot do. Let's go on to another one. This is one of my favorite because this covers 3 pages. Okay? Well, we won't get into some of this stuff, but let me see. Let me go back to, let me go to nickel. Nickel alloy, okay? Nickel and steels together. Nickel and steel, 0.5% to 10% nickel, 25 to 100% nickel, is used in, quote, automobiles, trucks, buses, ships, airplanes, railway locomotives, and most types of transportation equipment, agricultural equipment, machine tools, mining and extruding equipment, oil well drilling, refinery equipment, steel mill machinery, power generating equipment, and many types of steel construction.
Brother, you know what? You know why one would go back to Africa? Because they got some sense, that's why.
That's right.
Because they're intelligent.
That's right. Continuing, stainless steel nickels, 2% to 25% nickel, transportation equipment, streamlined trains, airplanes, tank trucks, kitchen equipment, tableware, cooking utensils, and equipment for chemical and food processing industries, textile and paper mill and oil refineries. Heat-resistant steels, 2% to 26% nickel. High temperature requirements of furnace and other equipment parts for glass, ceramic, metal to chemical manufacturing industries. Nickel cast irons, 1% to 5% nickel. Special needs in manufacturing of metal equipment. Copper, 65% to 70% copper to nickel. High corrosion resistance. Building, chemical, and food processing equipment in the marine and power generating equipment. Okay? Then, let's see, electrical resistant alloys, 80% to 85% nickel. Used in heating elements, photometers, rheostats, and other electrical controls. Magnetic alloys, non-magnetic alloys, permanent magnet alloys, high permeability alloys, control expansion alloys, plated silverware plates, silver filaments, non-destructive hardware, and jewelry. Then nickel compounds, electroplating, nickel catalysts, ground coat emeralds, storage batteries, special nickel powders, incandescents, and fungicide, and also fertilizers. Nickel catalyst, hydrogenization of fats and oils. In other words, that's how you make Vaseline with nickel catalyst. Regions and great importance in the material industries, and it just goes on and on.
So can you find any of this stuff in Europe?
Say again?
You find this nickel stuff in Europe?
Nickel in Europe?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of nickel in Europe.
They couldn't have done nothing then without taking ours, could they?
That's right, and most of this stuff.
Oh, man, that's just embarrassing, man. You know, that we're sitting here wondering what we're going to do for what white man's going to save us. I mean, yeah, come on, y'all, we got to get real now. I mean, there's one thing for sure after you get through here what Brother's saying. I mean, even at this point, that the children know we ain't got to be in this condition.
Right.
They know it now.
I believe they know something,
That's right.
Okay. Copper. Major portion of the world's production of copper is utilized in the electrical industries, the balance of alloys. Electrical manufacturers including generators, motors, electric locomotives, switchboards, light boards, approximately 25%. Telephones and telegraphs, light and power lines, 13%. Other rod and wire, 9%. Automobiles, not including starting, generator, ignition equipment, 10%. Buildings, including electrical work, 10%. Manufacturers of export, 11%. Other uses, 25%. The other 25% are as follows: ammunition, radio and television, air conditioning, refrigeration, railroads, shipbuilding, screening, copper bearing steels, radiators, heating, clocks and watches, and many others. Copper rollers and cilio painting, brass, bronze, gunmetal, copper salts used in medicine, 4, cobalting, combating pests and insecticides. That's copper.
That's something, man. That's something, man. That's brother, it's a damn shame. That's what, it's just a damn shame, man. Here you gotta go. I mean, they couldn't drive one car without stealing our stuff, but you gotta go get their permission to drive one.
You can't even make toilet paper without that. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And I hope everybody keeps in mind that every one of these end products that I'm mentioning is an entire industry in itself.
Air conditioning industry. I mean, y'all just look at all the things that come from your home that you do without. It don't make no sense. And then let them strut around you like they somebody important. They're thieves.
And go into debt for.
In debt. Thieves, man. Thieves. We got to take our stuff back, y'all. I mean, we will prove ourselves less than men and women if we don't take our stuff back, and thus prove ourselves less unfit to be here.
I don't. You know, when I was doing this, I was saying, when does it stop?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I was getting into a little project. What I thought was a little project. You know, after 2 months, I said, hey, this is getting more like work, okay?
And you probably still got something you ain't got yet.
That's right.
Man, that's deep, man. Well, let's continue on because we're putting out the case for the prosecution.
Right.
Yeah, we're with the prosecution.
Okay. Let me look at where do I go here? Let's see. I think
it's just so embarrassing, man. You know what I mean? I mean, the way they got us in a situation, we just don't know from one minute to the next where we're going to eat, where we're going to stay, what we're going to wear, or even if we're going to be here. And they do this by using stuff from our house against us.
That's our major point. I have been saying that if African people have any sense of survival, then we have to reclaim the land that is being used to oppress us.
That's what it is too, brother. It ain't this boy. This boy ain't bad. It's our stuff he using on us.
Exactly.
It's our stuff, y'all. I mean, it ain't like you ain't got to feel like a thief or nothing like he should. It's yours.
It's just unreal. I'm trying to find this one
It's
little
just mind-boggling, brother. It's just, I know I'm not the only one, feeling the way I'm feeling right now.
I would hope not.
Oh, I hope not too, brother. Otherwise, we're in bad shape.
Okay.
No, I know not.
Okay, 10. Now, this is 10 covers 4 pages. I'm just going to leave the last one here, okay? The versatility of 10 can be summarized in considering the vital role that 10, in some ways, contributes to the operation of an automobile.
Wait a minute, brother.
Water is required in fabricating the water-cooled radiator, the heater, the air conditioning system. The electrical wiring system consists of 10-coated copper wire and connectors which are put together with 10 lead solder. Body solder is used to fill in welded seams and smooth out small surface imperfections prior to painting. 10 is then added to strengthen the cast iron used in engine blocks and parts in the transmission gear. Steel-backed tin-based Babbitt, aluminum tin bearings, and tin lead bearings, overplated with tin lead electroplate, are standard parts in automobile engines. Bushings, bearings, and springs for small auxiliary motors operating the power equipment, generators, etc., are made of phosphorus bronze. Aluminum pistons are tin-coated to prevent seizure during engine break-in, and gas tank and connecting tubing are tin-coated or corrosion resistance, and the air cleaner and the oil filter are fabricated from tin-coated steel. Each light bulb has a soldered dot on the base to connect the wire elements and provide electrical contact. The radio and cassette player are put together with tin wire, printed circuits, and soldering connections. Clear plastic material are light synthesized with a tin compound, and the foam cushion is made of a process that uses astonished octane as a catalyst, and finally the glass is made by casting the surface on tin, molten tin. That's an automobile.
Brother,
It would not move without tin.
And where you get it from? Us. I mean, man, it's just, it's just like, what percentage? I would bet you that 99% of white folks don't even know all that.
No, they don't.
No, they when they be telling you to go back to Africa, they have no idea what they're saying.
Nope.
They might say go back to Africa, but those in charge say, no, you don't.
Yeah, those ones that tell you to go back, they have no idea.
No, they don't know. They're just simple-minded something. No. Brother, because if we went back, then they wouldn't get away with this.
They wouldn't have a clue.
Let's continue, brother.
Okay. Let's pick up another one here. Let's see. We did silver? We did silver, I believe.
I don't think we did silver. I think we got tin, we got copper, we got gold, we got chrome.
Okay. Oh, you writing them down, huh?
No, brother, I got them in my memory, man. Hey, brother, I'm gonna etch this in somebody's skull. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's ours, man. I want my stuff. I want to know what it is. I want.
Silver. First place, of course, is monetary. Then, plated silverware, ornaments, and jewelry. Photographic process. Aircraft and diesel locomotive bearings are silver-plated bearing sleeves in World War II, which equals seizure resistance. Of course, we mentioned that during startup. Electroconductivity of 100% relative relay control circuits in computers and tabulators. High temperature ultraviolet electrical instruments and relays.
Silver.
Castings to ceramics, glass, and mica for electrical devices. Silver solders and blazing alloys, that's for soldering. Silver epoxy cold solders to bound micro-miniature electronic devices without heat. Catalytic properties to provide reactions in ammonia for making fertilizers and oxidation chemical reactions. Silver foil in plates used in replacement and for missing bone fragments, that's in surgery. Silver nitrite solution is used for disinfectant for certain plants. Powerful oxidizing agent. It is a good fluorinating agent. And the chemical, let's see, I can't even read some of this stuff. Water sterilization destroys warts.
Silver. Silver.
Yeah, really.
Destroy warts.
Warts destroys warts. It's got a whole lot of let's see, indolent ulcers, etc. For the pharmaceutical. Others, it makes poisons. Making pistons for gasoline engines, bus bars for high tension electrical wires. Now, I didn't write this down. This is just out of Encyclopedia Britannica, like everything else. Making the atomic bomb.
What? Silver?
Penicillin manufacture.
So if we got our stuff back, we could stop all war then, couldn't we?
That's right. Substitute metal during World War II for copper. Copper, nickel, chromium, aluminum, and tin, resulting in thousands of tons used metals for more vital use. Okay, that was silver. And of course, iron is, without saying, iron ranks second in abundance among the minerals and fourth in abundance among the elements. Iron compounds, ferrous oxide, let's see, ferric oxide plus oxidates, let's see where we start. Let's see. Therapeutics, essential element in the body, 10 to 20 micrograms of iron per day appears to meet the normal metabolic requirements for the average adult. Also a treatment for asthma.
Silver.
Iron, right. No, this is iron.
Oh, okay.
Ferrous oxide.
Iron treats asthma?
That's what they got here.
Man, brother, see, you know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's anemia. I'm sorry.
Well, either way.
Yeah, right.
Iron?
Iron is the most useful mineral and material in civilization. It has made possible plants, tools, machineries, and many of the products in the industrial revolution. It is principally used when alloyed with other elements, notably carbon, to moderate most processes to steel, and excess produces cast iron. Semi-finished minerals, rail, massive H-beams, huge plates, I-sheet bars, skiff, let's see, that's 6 to 20 inches wide, suitable for forming into pipe up to 6 inches in diameter and from 1/8 to 3/8 inches thick. Sheets 1/8 inch thick. Pipe and seamless tubing, rods and wires down to 0.2 inches. Semi-finished also continues somewhat over 40% of the United States production in the form of sheet, strip, and tin plate, and about 16% in bars, 12 to 13% in pipe, 9 to 10% in wire and wire products. Structural shapes, 6 to 17%. Track material about 1 1/2, down to 5% before World War II, 3% miscellaneous. Automobile industry, 17%. Construction, structural shapes, concrete reinforcements, 12%. Containers, 9%. Machinery, 6%. Export, 4%. Other uses. Large ocean liners, up to 35,000 or 17,000 tons. Railroad sleeping car, 58 tons. 50-passenger bus, 7 tons of iron. 6-room residence, up to 2.5 tons is used. An average United States automobile, 3,500 pounds of iron. A garden spade, 5 pounds. 1 gallon paint can, about 1 pound. Use of copper steels, extra soft and dead soft steel, 0.08 to 18% carbon. Structural made, mild steels, strength and easy malleable. Forging, flaming operations, etc. for buildings, bridges, railroad, rolling stock, boilers, drop forging, and bolts. Medium grade, shipbuilding, shafting, forged machinery parts. Medium hard steel, large forged for locomotives and other prime movers, car axles, railroad rails. Hard steels, wrought iron wheels, locomotive tires, wood cutting tools, and sledges. Spring grades, automobile springs, cold chisels, rock drills, and shear blades. High carbon steel tools, railroad springs, steel cutting, forming tools. Used in alloy steels, nickel and chromium, crankshafts, axles, gears, and other automotive and machine parts.
And let's just say they had to do without the axles, brother.
Right. Ordnance and armor, long span bridges, pressure valves, gun tubes, and heavy shafting. Structural purposes such as bridge, cruiser, and grinder parts. Ball and roller bearings and armor plates. And it just goes on and on and on here with steel.
Man, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Man, it's just like one thing after another, and we just can't justify being in this condition, knowing that all these things can be done if we were at home.
Impossible.
Yeah. I mean, we look silly trying to say, well, we deserve it.
Give us a job.
Please, can we have a job, white man? I swear, I'll tell on the niggas for you. Man. See, all y'all in these suckhole relationships with the white people, you could get out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And just think, when you get home, you ain't got no more debt either. You don't owe him nothing. Shouldn't owe him nothing anyway. I mean, man, what else we got, brother? I mean, we talked about iron, we talked about tin, we talked about chrome, we talked about gold, we talked about, I mean, I'm just going over them for the people because, y'all just start thinking about these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And brother listed several things that come out of all these things that are industries in and of themselves, and we have no industry whatsoever. We think we done something. We got us our Barbies you stand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People make mockery of you. People make decisions about your intelligence based on things they see you do and things they hear you say. And you say, give me a job to a conscious white boy, he says, damn fool. Don't he, brother?
That's it.
That's all he could say.
Vanadium, alloys to proper certain quantities of steel and cast iron. High-speed tool steel, high-strength, structural steel, and wear-resistant cast iron. Vanadium comes in sheet, strip, foil, bar, wire. Tubing have been used in high-temperature service in the chemical industry and in bonding other minerals. Foil is used to bond steel and titanium in cladding, pure titanium metal to steel. Vanadium in the manufacture of tool steels, engineering steels, high-strength structural steels, non-aging rimming steels, and special wear-resistant cast irons. Mm-hmm. Heavy castings and forgings added to construction steel to improve elasticity properties, toughness, and yield to tensile strength ratios. Largest market, heavy truck bodies, chassis, other stressed structural parts, heavy transportation equipment, gears, crankshafts, ball bearings. Very heavy forgings, turbine rotors. Steel to small tools, about 2.5%. Razor and knife blades, taps and dies, chisels, lathe tools, milling cutters, drop forgings, cast cuttings, and extrusion dies. High-speed, heavy-duty steels, tool steels, cutting, drilling, forging, extruding. Bearings, power gearing units. Vanadium continued. Catalysts for coloring glass and ceramic glazings, for dyes in paints and inks, and for laboratory research, dye in lining, oil paints, photographic developers, and catalytic actions, and so on and so on and so on.
And I know some of those things that Brother Zears named off, you're not familiar with them, but
Right.
don't that make you feel bad? They taking stuff out your house, making stuff with it you don't even know what it is, and then they using it on you too. That's the truth.
And we're using it and don't know that we're using it.
Yeah, I mean, we think nothing. And I think you brought it up, brother, earlier when you talked about how, because of slavery, how we had been, say, you picked the cotton, that's all you knew about.
Exactly.
And because we'll walk into a room, we'll turn on the light, we think we done something smart, but we don't realize how much of our stuff went into making that light come on.
Exactly.
It couldn't come on without our stuff, could it?
As a matter of fact, I mean, if just in the case of tin, if you took the tin out of the car, you wouldn't have one.
There's no car.
If you took certain raw materials out of a house, you wouldn't have that.
That's
if you
right.
took tin or copper out of a computer, you wouldn't have a computer, you wouldn't have television, you wouldn't have this telephone system we're talking to.
The radio's a thing we're listening on.
You know, life in this country as we know it and living at a high standard of living would simply be, would not only be impossible, it wouldn't even be known.
Now, why do you think y'all are hearing this information now? I mean, you know, we've been here a long time, ain't we, brother? And most of us
Too
ain't.
long. Okay, we've been here too long.
But most of us ain't never heard none of this stuff before. Why are we hearing it now?
I'm sure.
I think that put us on these resources now are giving us an opportunity to recognize that we were put there for a reason.
Right, exactly.
And we better start, you know, the one thing about us, we're different than all the other creations because we got a brain and we can think. But I don't think, you know, we was witnessing the flooding in Indiana this week, brother. And,
right.
And all those bridges that got flooded out,
Right.
got washed away. I think there was a message in there. There's going to come a time when it'll be too late to cross back.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And you're not getting this. I mean, Brother Zears is not, you know, obviously you can tell this ain't the average brother. The brother does things that the average brother don't do. And why do you think you have met this brother in 1992?
This is when it all starts, right?
You're not giving electric slide dances, are you, brother?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, okay, then. No, they're afraid not.
I'm afraid not. Right. Antimony, in its pure state, has essentially no uses. Yet, in physical and chemical combinations with other substances, it is one of man's most useful metals. Approximately 1/2 of all the yearly world supply is consumed in alloy fabrication. Chemical uses in fireworks, pottery, glass, paints, plastics, rubbers, and fabrics account for 1/2 of the industrial consumption of antimony. As a hardening agent, even small quantities of antimony impart steel and hardness to other minerals, particularly lead. The largest single use of antimony is in the manufacture of automobile storage batteries, 4 to 11% yield strong, corrosive resistance, grades, and terminals, pumps, tank linings, roofing sheets, pumping fixtures, pipes, cable sheaths, and foil and bullets.
All I can say is damn. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, that's all you can say, man. I mean, they shooting us down with stuff that they make out of our stuff.
Exactly, right.
I mean, that's all. I mean, you know. Well, let's continue, brother, because we're with the prosecution today.
Anti-friction bearings, Babbitt, and what they call white metal, anti-friction metals such as tin, lead, and copper. Type metal, lead containing 13 to 30% linotype and stenotype machines to produce accurate cast printing type, and also lowers the melting point of lead and imparts sharp definition to the type. Decorative castings for an antimony, low melting point, precision duplication, durability, metallic beauty, and economy account for statues, candlesticks, Britannia metal, hollow wire, and tubeware, 5 to 10%. Also, this is where pewter comes from, 7% pewter and solder.
They got a lot of damn nerves, don't they, brother?
Right. Semiconductors, transistor, and integrated circuits in advanced electronics hardware. Frame roofing, fire-resistant fabrics, antimony trioxide or trichlorate, fire-retaining agent for paints and plastics. Paints. A paint constituent, white ceramic enamels for plaster-free filler, brilliant finish, bronze agent for metals and plaster coatings. Also makes a good yellow, orange, blues, and greens.
You know what would probably take less time, brother? To name the stuff that they don't get from our home.
Nothing.
I mean, that'd be it, wouldn't it? Say nothing.
That's right.
Man, man.
Ammunition. Component of ammunition, liquefied chloride, and of military pyrotechnics, smoke grenades, vital in range-finding shields and tracer bullets, friction and machine precision caps, rubber industry, vulcanization agent, textile industry, fabric dyeing, finishing, attractive to textile fabrics, filtering, and non-fiber destroying.
Brother, I was thinking, why would you want to claim America when you got all that stuff at home?
Really?
I mean, you want a second-rate piece of land when you could have the cat's meow?
That's it. This is, in fact, I have said, this is the pot at the end of the rainbow. This is the pot at the end of the rainbow. This is the big bonanza. This is the jackpot of the whole world. God didn't put black people, his firstborn, his first chosen, here for nothing. He put it there so that we could continue being the kings and queens of the world. And yet, right now, we are the clothesless figures of the planet.
We're the toilets for everybody on earth. Anybody want to dump on us, we sitting right there waiting.
Cleaning toilets and shining shoes.
Hey, brother. Man, brothers and sisters, I mean, myself, you might have thought I've been hard before, but knowing this just changes me. I mean, brother, I ain't lying. I've done some studying on the things that we had over there, but I've never done it, of course, I'm not researcher extraordinary either, but I've never done it as in-depth as what you've presented to us this evening. It's just mind-boggling, man.
And we have pages and pages that I have, we didn't have time to go over.
No, I'm certain, brother. I mean, and just think now, every time he named one thing, not gold, but the various things that gold can be used for, you're talking about a whole industry.
A whole industry.
I mean, he said razor blades on the tin. I mean, that's an industry. Knife blades, that's an industry.
And listen to this. Not only that one plant or one manufacturing company could make all the razor blades that would be required, or knives.
No.
I mean, just the knife, just the cutler industry. This isn't anything that scissors, knives, whatever. Razor blades, the whole thing, in cutting or cutler type industry would require at least 5, 6, 7 large, very, very large manufacturing facility, employing no less than anywhere from 10 to 15,000 people per facility.
And you know what's so deep, brother? They got us thinking so childish. Your gold has all these uses, and what's the only thing we want to do with it? Hanging on our neck or something. I mean, we look stupid. Brothers and sisters, I got to say it. We look stupid. Here we are in a position, we're wondering if the white folks are going to rebuild our neighborhoods after the rebellion. What do we care? Let's go home. Leave them this mess. I mean, why would you want this? Why would you claim this as yours, knowing what yours really is? I mean, we're more, and I've said it before, but I understand it now even more so. We're way more than we think we are.
We are, and we always have been. And why they have been so systematically intent on turning us against this information.
This is what Stephen Fetchum was about.
Exactly.
Mantez Moreland and all them, all the Fred Sanford shows, the
Tarzan,
colors, and all them was turn you away from your home.
Exactly.
They could use your home against you.
Okay.
You got a house on the hill, right, brother? You can watch everything from there. Now, somebody that's been on your destruction tricks you out of that house.
The biggest house on the hill.
And now they got the house on the hill. And you sitting down in the valley wondering what happened. They tricked you. You walk. They didn't have to fight you out. They don't have to fight you out of your home today. You reject your home. We got to get over this, y'all.
Let me deal with a few other things that we haven't even touched on, and these do not have to do with raw materials. It has to do with processing everything that basically I have mentioned.
Okay. That means now that they have this stuff, it's no good unless they have this, right?
Right.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that would take to actually process this are tremendous amount of electricity. Okay, now, in an article that's included with the information package that I send you, out of, I believe it's Burke's Encyclopedia. There's a map here called the Africa's potential water power. Africa's potential water power in water areas, Africa has the potential of supplying 40% of the world's total hydroelectric power. 40%.
Man.
Okay?
We got to stop
20% from the Congo, let's see, and 16 some odd percent from it's about 30% from the Congo and the Zairian area and about 20% from other African countries. Now, what I have here is that the world's potential, the figures don't really matter, but I will name them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The world's total potential of hydroelectric power is 480,959,300 kilowatts. Africa's total potential is 40% of that. It's 186,808,289.8 kilowatts.
This is water power, y'all.
That is 1.8 times total European output, and it is 3 times total United States output.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something?
In other words, Africa could make so much hydroelectric power as to actually have to export some of it.
Thank you, brother.
Okay? The other thing that people, I think, are not totally capable of understanding. Okay, now, this is from basically the highlands and the tropical rainforest area in which Zaire and these other countries happen to be. They're very high in altitude, about 3,600 feet above sea level, and you get probably the highest rainfalls in the world that occur in this particular area, some as much as 12 inches a year. 12 to 20 inches a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, basically what happens is that the falling over the river system, primarily in Zaire, covers something like 20,000 miles of river that runs downhill, okay, downhill from 35,000, 36,000 feet to sea level. That's where the power comes from. The other potential power that's not even mentioned here, not even mentioned, is one that will blow your mind, because what it would do is take Africa's total potential in electric power far and above any other continent on the planet.
Solar, brother?
And that is the potential power that can be gained through photovoltaic engineering and cell in the African desert in the Sahara, north of the Sahel.
Man.
Okay? The highest incidence in the world of sunlight falls on the Sahara Desert. With photovoltaic engineering, that is to say, the electric cells, which we're familiar with on our little calculators and some of our watches, where the sun just shines on this little plate and generates an electric charge to either charge up our little calculator or our watch, can be implanted in desert areas or in the fringe areas to the place where we could actually dig up sub-Saharan water. Okay, there is tremendous amount of water under the Sahara for irrigation and manufacturing. The amount of sub-Saharan water under the Sahara Desert amounts to, for anybody who has ever been to Niagara Falls, the average downflow of Niagara Falls on a summer day is 119,000 cubic feet per second. That's the water that falls over Niagara Falls every second on a summer's day. Now, if the water under the Sahara could be reverted to flow over a similar Niagara Falls, it would fall at 119,000 cubic feet per second for 140 years. And it is being recharged at the rate of 4 billion cubic meters per year.
We ain't got to ask nobody for
because
nothing.
it lacks nothing.
We ain't got to ask nobody for nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, they got to come to us if we get our heads together, brothers and sisters.
We got the electric, we got the water,
we got the minerals,
we got the raw material, we have the brain power, but it is now being distorted and misguided.
And we definitely got the bodies, brother. Man, brother Zears, I don't know what to say, man. I mean, I really just don't know what to say. I mean, it's embarrassing, man.
Changing the image of Africa.
The value of Africa. Does it have any value to y'all now? It surely has value to those who oppress you. We really got to do that, brothers and sisters. The names, all that other stuff, that's hey, look, that's after the fact. Once we put a value on it, we'll just call it home.
Exactly.
That's all. Where you going, brother? I'm going home.
Now let me, in this one page that also comes with the information document, there's about 52 raw materials that are listed that were mined in South Africa, okay? Mm-hmm. The total, it gives you the total tonnage, but I just want to read, now, which we have to continue to keep in mind, is that the number that I am about to give you is only the value of raw materials unprocessed.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Because when you process them, there's all kind of things you can do with them.
As a matter of fact, being an industrial engineer, in some cases, after you process some of these materials, the value of them goes up anywhere from 25 to 35% times its raw material value.
Dig that.
This is the number that is gotten out of in total value in US dollars in terms of these 52 raw materials. $5,994,583,343.
Man.
Okay.
Man.
Raw.
Man.
Raw.
That's just raw.
And it's from one country.
Man. Man, we gotta stop this. We gotta stop this, y'all.
It's only one country.
We gotta stop this. One country.
That's one country. That's South Africa.
We gotta stop this, man. We do. Now you see why they done made you feel bad about being an African? They don't even want you to think you're an African, do they?
They don't even want I've told people, you want to make white folks mad? Just tell them you're an African.
Oh, man.
Watch them do, hand flips and,
What you want to be that for?
Stuff. They instinctively understand.
They know. They do know.
They know.
They know. Well, my brother, I don't know what else we could add.
I don't.
If we haven't caused people to think now about home more now, I don't know what else you could say to them. And it really, that's not our job anyway, to make them think one way or another. Our job is to put the information there.
Right. Now, there will be people who will have a question that I think is a valid one. So now you say all this stuff was over there, but on the other hand, you told us on one of the other programs that, about 100 million people, Africans, might be dead by year 2000. This is true. But the point is that in one of my future programs that I'd like to do is to gather some material and impart to you the cures that are and have been available, probably for not only cancer but for the AIDS virus as well. Mm-hmm. So that for me at this point is really not a problem. I think AIDS, insofar as a biological warfare weapon against African people, is not a moot point. It's something that has to be considered, but I'm saying that I think at this particular point in time, with this particular ailment, I think I'm almost pretty sure that we do have solutions for that. Now, the problem, of course, is to getting to Africa before they start mixing other stuff up, okay? I don't, there's no guarantee on some other stuff that they may be mixing up in laboratories. But from what I've heard and some of the later information and inputs that I have gotten just in this past month gives me considerable reason and hope to think and to almost know that there are things out there that can in fact cure this virus.
You know it, brother.
Or at least the ailments of it. And of course, one of those, and that's on the clinical aspect, but the clinical aspect is for African people to get themselves together and pull all these raw materials under one committee. And I've said that insofar as African nations getting together and bringing down those borders and making a United States of Africa has to be no less than at least 5 million square miles in and around Zaire.
That's right, brother.
Once you raise one flag and have all these tremendous amount of raw materials under one flag, and we can determine who gets what at what price.
That's right, brother.
Be on a roll.
That's it then, brother.
That's it then.
Well, my brother, I want to thank you for the time that you spent with us this evening. To me, brother, this has got to be one of the most enlightening hour and a half I have spent in my entire life. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that because I came on not really knowing what to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
I really appreciate you having me.
Any final comments, brother?
Okay, then.
Okay, on the telephones with us tonight in our 1,063rd consecutive night of broadcasting out of Gardena, California. No, brother, give the address for the package again.
Okay, the address here for the package is 2300 West El Segundo Boulevard. That's two words, capital E-L, capital S-E-G-U-N-D-O Boulevard, number 1, Gardena, California. Gardena, 90249. It should be to my attention, Zears Miles, Zears Miles, and it must be a money order for $59.95. $59.95 money order. That entails 637 pages or 160 documents and 2 90-minute audio cassette tapes. You will not be disappointed.
Hey, you can tell by the conversation that the brother dropped down. Brother was going through them documents as we were speaking. And you would want to have this, it's like some people put guns in their house for defense, but you better start putting some information in your house for defense. Because when people come knocking on your brain, you better be able to respond. You better be able to respond. On the telephones with us tonight, in our 1,063rd consecutive night of broadcasting out of Gardena, California, war correspondent, commander in the Black Liberation Air Force, researcher extraordinaire, and I say that with emphasis, y'all, Brother Zears Miles.
Jim Hotep.
I'm Mbanna, Kantako, and you're listening to the People's Choice, because the people choose to listen to Black Liberation Radio.